Most common TOEFL vocabulary with example sentences. Access.
The ability to go into, when somebody or something must allow you to enter, to go into something when allowed to enter. Only students have access to the university library. There is a large amount of oil under the ice, but we can't access it.
Accurate.
Correct, about information, not opinions, on target. That test is not an accurate test of intelligence.
Achieve.
To accomplish a goal. The best students know that to achieve good grades, they have to study every day.
Acquire.
To get, especially when you will continue to get more. Janice isn't a doctor yet, but from her studies she's slowly acquiring the knowledge and skills she'll need.
Adequate.
Good enough for what you need. A very light jacket will be adequate for Los Angeles's warm winter.
Adjust.
To change or move a little and make better or more accurate. The colors on this TV screen are wrong. I'll adjust them.
Administration.
The running of something or an organization, business, school, government, etc., the person or people in charge of running an organization. The university administration canceled all school events after a bad storm left most buildings without electricity.
Effect.
To change, make different, have an effect. Which language we speak affects how we think about the world.
Alter.
To change, to adjust. Magazines heavily alter the photos of celebrities they publish.
Alternative.
Other possibility or option different, other than the main option. The menu includes alternatives for students who don't eat meat. Many words in these flashcards have alternative definitions.
Analyze.
To try to understand something better by closely looking at its details. The accountant was too busy with paperwork to analyze the report that said the company had no money.
Annual.
Yearly, happening every year. Everyone in Manchester was excited about the annual game between the city's two soccer teams.
Apparent.
Clearly seen or understood seeming, but not definitely true. After only a few months, it was apparent that the French would not win the war. The shark's apparent sleepiness is actually because of how cold the water is.
Approach.
To come/go closer to something or someone, a way to do something. The sign at the park said clearly, "Do not approach wild animals. They will bite." The new CEO had a very strange approach to management, letting his employees sleep whenever they wanted.
Area.
A range of subjects or studies, a field, a discipline. Researchers working in many different areas, from psychology to physics, will be able to use the new type of plastic.
Aspect.
A feature, a characteristic, a particular part of something. The three most important aspects to think about when learning a language are grammar, vocabulary, and pronunciation.
Assess.
To look closely at and figure out the value or type of something. Before buying a house, you should always assess the building carefully.
Assist.
To help or aid. The box was too big to carry, so John asked the store manager to assist him.
Assume.
To believe without proof. Ahmed assumed his forgetful professor wouldn't remember their meeting, but the professor was already waiting for him in her office.
Attitude.
A set way of thinking or a set feeling about something or someone. Zach always has a positive attitude when he has to deal with a problem at work.
Attribute.
To give an event or person credit for something, like a work of art or a speech, a quality or feature that is an important part of something. The museum director attributed the recently discovered painting to Van Gogh. All of his movies have a few attributes in common. For example, there is little conversation and a lot of music.
Authority.
Control or responsibility over something, people, area, laws, etc. Only Congress has the authority to make and pass laws for the country.
Available.
Able to be reached, used, or bought. The advisor was not available to meet all day Monday, so the student had to come back on Tuesday.
Aware.
To have knowledge of. As Helen drove away from the gas station, she wasn't aware that her lights were off until she turned onto a dark street.
Benefit.
Something good coming from an action, agreement, idea, plan, etc. The president flew around the country, talking about the benefits of the new healthcare law.
Brief.
Short, about time, not length. Before we begin class, let me briefly introduce myself.
Capable.
Able to do. Near the age of 12 months, children are capable of walking.
Capacity.
The amount or volume something can hold. Ability, especially mental. The hotel is full to maximum capacity, there are no empty rooms. Few birds have the capacity to recognize themselves when looking in a mirror, most act as though there is a second bird behind the glass.
Challenge.
Something difficult to suggest a fight or argument, to disagree or try to fight somebody to say something isn't true. New medicines face many challenges before they can be put in stores. In order to get the attention of females, males of many animal species will challenge each other in different ways. Einstein's writings challenged many ideas of the time.
Circumstance.
The situation, facts or environment around an event. My professor only gives extra time to finish essays under special circumstances. Normally it's not allowed.
Comment.
An observation, note, or response to say a short response or opinion about a given topic. The professor was angry about the negative comments made about his teaching style. A smart politician, the Prime Minister refused to comment on the criticisms of her newest budget plan.
Commit.
To do or perform, something very negative, like a crime, to promise to make a final and unchangeable decision, usually be committed to give all of your energy to something. Michiko committed too many grammar errors in her essay, and that hurt her score. Before you commit to a university, be sure to spend some time on campus. I'm completely committed to our baseball team's success, I'd do anything to win.
Community.
A group of people living or working together. The Spanish-speaking community within New York City includes millions of people.
Compensate.
To help correct a problem with another, positive thing. The Payetian's new job was low, but the freedom his boss gave him compensated for that.
Complex.
With many different parts and difficult to understand, complicated. The science behind the atomic bomb used in World War II was highly complex at the time, but it is simple compared to today's nuclear science.
Component.
A part of a whole. Many electronics are made of thousands of smaller components and wires.
Concentrate.
To focus attention on something to come together into a smaller space. You must learn to concentrate to be successful on the test. The protest concentrated in the city parks.
Concept.
An abstract idea. Some concepts within advanced mathematics are hard to show in the real world.
Conduct.
To organize and manage, for an event that take careful planning and control. My research team is conducting a study on how the internet is changing dating. We are collecting information from 5 countries.
Conflict.
An argument, long battle, or difference of opinions. The conflict in Syria has forced many people to leave the country.
Consequence.
Result, effect, what happens because of an event. If you hurt the people around you, there will be unwanted consequences.
Considerable.
Large enough or important enough to get special notice. A considerable number of popular sports were invented in only the last 100 years.
Consist.
To be made of. The U.S. consists of 50 states.
Constant.
Not changing and not stopping, continuous. The river flows constantly through the year and never freezes.
Constitute.
To be the pieces that make a whole. 50 states constitute the USA.
Constrain.
To limit the activity of, restrict. Popular belief says that a pet fish's size is constrained by the size of the tank it's in, but this is actually false.
Construct.
To build. The land flooded every year, so it was unsafe to construct buildings on it.
Consume.
To eat, to use. No country consumes more oil than the USA. Yeast, which is used to make beer, consumes sugars to create alcohol.
Contact.
Touching, having possible or normal communication, communicating, as by email or phone, especially, to give or get specific information. An electrical wire in contact with a pool of water can be extremely dangerous. Liam is still in contact with many of his high school teachers, surprisingly. The woman at the help desk told me to contact the student affairs office if I want to change rooms.
Context.
The information or situation around an idea, event, or something that is said. When you have difficulty understanding a new word, look at the context. The sentence around the word might tell the meaning.
Contrast.
To be clearly different from, to look specifically at the differences between two things. The zebra's black and white stripes contrast clearly with the yellow grass around it. By contrasting the vocabulary of French and Spanish, we can see their different histories.
Contribute.
To give something, often money, to help reach a goal, to add to the cause of something bigger. Over the past 3 years, my parents have not contributed to my university tuition. I smoked a lot when I was younger, and that's contributed to my health problems today.
Coordinate.
To work with or communicate with the different people, groups, or pieces involved in a large product. A chef at a big restaurant will spend his time coordinating all the workings of the kitchen, not cooking.
Core.
Central, of fundamental importance, the center of something. Although we have made improvements in brain science, many of the core problems remain. The Earth's core is made of liquid rock.
Correspond.
To be a close match, to send letters back and forth. This new paint for the room does not correspond to the old paint. My mother and father corresponded for almost 2 years before meeting in person.
Criteria.
The measures by which you judge or decide something. A good TOEFL essay includes a few criteria, including good structure, clear ideas, and natural vocabulary.
Culture.
The way a group of people living in one area normally acts, including arts, style, food, and how people talk to and act with each other. When living in another country, it can be very difficult to become comfortable in the new culture.
Data.
Information, facts. We collect data on the ocean's temperatures every year.
Debate.
To argue, usually in a formal, polite way. Watching the presidential debates on TV did not help me decide who to vote for.
Decline.
To politely say no to an invitation or offer to become less, fewer, or smaller, usually of something good, a slow continuous loss of value, power, or strength. I declined dinner because I had plans to eat with my family instead. For 10 years, the number of fish in the river has declined. Many people say that America is in decline.
Deduce.
To come to a conclusion through logic and evidence, to figure out. By analyzing the bones, we can deduce when the animal lived and, maybe, how it died.
Demonstrate.
To show an example of, to prove with evidence. At 8 years old, Mozart demonstrated his musical ability in London.
Derive.
To get or create from, usually be derived from, to come from, originate from. All plastics are derived from oil. Many European languages are derived at least partly from Latin.
Despite.
Even with, when an event is surprising because of some difficulty. We enjoyed our vacation despite the rain.
Discrete.
Separate, not the same thing and with no parts in common. Your left arm and right arm are controlled by 2 discrete areas of the brain.
Distinct.
Clearly different from. There are at least 5 distinct types of turtle living on the island.
Distribute.
To give out something. The teacher distributed tests to the class, and the students were happy to see they did well.
Diverse.
having many different types. The student population is incredibly diverse at South State University, with students from 30 different countries.
Element.
A part of something, usually part of an idea. The element of his speech that I didn't like was at the end, when he talked about religion.
Emerge.
To come out of. After a winter spent sleeping, the bear emerges from its cave.
Emphasize.
To place extra importance on one part. Most modern art emphasizes creativity and emotion, not skill.
Enable.
To make something possible. The classes in college will enable you to find a good job.
Enforce.
To make people follow a rule or law. Although smoking is not allowed on school campus, the ban isn't enforced, and many students smoke freely.
Entity.
A thing that exists or acts as one unit. The male anglerfish will attach permanently to the female, and in time, the two fish will become a single entity.
Equivalent.
Equal. Rashim used a chart to find that his 6.7 GPA in his home country was equivalent to a 3.2 GPA in the United States.
Establish.
To build, to create, of a system, organization, or idea, not a real, physical thing. The U.S. government was established in the late 1700s.
Estimate.
To determine roughly the value or number of something, to guess a number using some information. Be careful to not forget any costs for the year when you estimate your budget.
Evaluate.
To form an idea of the amount, number or value of something. Students are evaluated by their grades on tests, homework, essays, and in-class interaction.
Evident.
Clearly seen or understood, obvious. Dogs' feelings are usually evident in their actions.
Exclude.
To not include, to not put in a list or group. I eat almost anything, excluding spicy foods. I hate hot pepper.
Expand.
To make larger, to give more detail on a subject. Blowing air into a balloon will cause it to expand, but if you blow too much air, it will explode.
Expose.
To show or reveal something that was hidden. The politician's crimes were exposed and he was forced to leave his position.
External.
Outside, especially of a body or system. Uncontrollable, external events can cause even a very careful company to fail.
Facilitate.
To make easy or easier. Classical music, unlike many types of music, will generally facilitate learning and improve memory.
Factor.
A fact that influences or changes a result. Two of the largest factors affecting children's healthy growth are food and relationships with parents.
Feature.
An important characteristic, a property to include as an important piece. The sound made by R is one of the most difficult features of spoken English. The university's new student housing features larger rooms than the old building did.
Focus.
To look at, think about, or give attention to the center of attention, the most important part. I could not focus on my homework in the library because someone was playing music very loudly. The focus of Justin's essay was not clear to the professor, so he received a low grade.
Framework.
A structure for a building, system, or idea. Ellen's business plan may have failed, but it formed the framework for her next, successful plan.
Function.
To work, to do what something should do what something does, its purpose. I dropped my phone into a swimming pool, but, amazingly, it still functions. The hair on the human head has no clear function.
Fundamental.
Basic, central, extremely important. Alive believes that women are fundamentally different from men. The fundamental beliefs of most religions are peaceful.
Furthermore.
Also, in addition, what's more. Kenya has beautiful weather and, furthermore, does not have long nights in the winter.
Generate.
To create, to produce, especially energy. Movement generates heat.
Grant.
To agree to give, something that was asked for, to admit, to say something is true. The government has recently granted us access to information that was secret before. I disagree that snakes make good pets, but I'll grant that they're easy to take care of.
Hence.
Therefore, so, as a result. The evidence is false, hence, the conclusion is also false.
Hypothesis.
An idea which explains something but is unproven. The hypothesis that the Earth is growing was shown to be false.
Identify.
To name, to show or figure out what something is. Scientists have not been able to identify the language written on the rocks.
Illustrate.
To explain with an example. Peter illustrated his point by telling a short story.
Impact.
An effect that changes a situation to affect strongly the force of being hit hard. The end of the war had a large impact on economic growth. My father's advice hugely impacted my university decision. The impact of a car crash can send a driver who doesn't wear a seatbelt through the window.
Imply.
To communicate without saying specifically, to hint at an idea, to lead to a clear conclusion. The president implied that he would not support the new law against selling tobacco, but he didn't say it clearly.
Indicate.
To be a sign of, to show. The way you speak and act indicates your emotions.
Individual.
Single or separated, only one of. Joan was surprised that the 10 books she ordered from the internet came together, but in individual boxes.
Initial.
At the beginning. My initial plan was to study until midnight and wake up late, but then I fell asleep early.
Instance.
An example, a case. 2 animals in Australia, platypuses and echidnas, are the only instances of animals with hair that lay eggs.
Institute.
To start, a rule or system, a group or organization that studies or works for something specific. In January, We will institute a plan to make car accidents less frequent. The National Cancer Institute was created to learn more about, and hopefully cure, the many types of cancer.
Integrate.
To become a part of. It is difficult or even impossible to smoothly integrate a small, foreign culture into the main culture of a country.
Internal.
Found or happening inside, a body, organization, etc. The US government has had lots of problems ever since internal messages were published on news websites.
Interpret.
To figure out or explain the meaning of something. The students could not interpret the extremely old book because the pages were hard to read.
Invest.
To spend money, energy, or time on something hoping for good results later. To spend money in the hopes of making more money, usually in property, financial shares, or some other activity. If you want to learn another language, you will have to invest a lot of your free time. Jamie invested in an education company that he thought would succeed and make him rich.
Investigate.
To try to find answers to questions about something, to research. Doctors are investigating a newly discovered plant that might help to fight cancer.
Involve.
To include, to have as a part. The study of architecture involves both art and science.
Issue.
A topic or situation to talk about a problem. In order to define what jazz music is, we need to look at a few different issues. Monarchies, governments with kings or queens, often have several common issues.
Justify.
To give a good reason for an action or situation, especially one that seems bad. Although Milos explained for a long time, he could not justify borrowing his brother's car without asking.
Label.
A name or phrase given to a group of things to identify them, often negative, to give a label to something. The meaning of the label punk has changed greatly in the last 30 years. Children are often unkind and label others who look different as outsiders.
Labor.
Work, effort. One was surprised at how much labor was needed to finish his project on time.
Layer.
Something that covers something else to put something on top of something else. Layers of paint on the steel bridge will protect it from rust. Sebastian layered the sandwich with all my favorite meats and cheeses.
Lecture.
A long speech about one topic, especially in a classroom, to give a long speech about a topic. Professor Jackson's lectures are too long, I always fall asleep.
Link.
To create a connection between two or more things, a connection between two things. The news story linked the president's success with the improved economy. What is the link between success in life and in education?
Maintain.
To continue to keep alive, to keep in good state or condition, to continue to say although people disagree. China has maintained a friendship with the US, although the two countries often have different needs and ideas. These roads are so badly maintained that they're difficult to drive on. Until his death, Christopher Columbus maintained that he had sailed to Asia, not America.
Major.
Very important, or large in size. The exam score is a major part of the final class grade.
Maximize.
To make as big as possible, to use or do as completely as possible. In order to maximize the number of people that can fit on the plane, the airline took out the restrooms.
Mental.
Of the mind. Many mental problems are still not well understood. We often don't know what causes them nor how to stop them from happening.
Method.
How to do something, a process. The Spanish method of making chocolate created a completely new drink.
Minor.
Not very important, small in size. The old actress was sad she had only a minor role in the new movie.
Modify.
To make small changes or add to in order to make better. The first bicycles were slow and difficult to use, but they were modified over time.
Monitor.
To watch the quality or progress of something over time, something or somebody which monitors. We have been carefully monitoring the amount of salt in our oceans for the last 50 years. Heart rate monitors can be used for both medicine and exercise.
Negate.
To make not true or not effective. Studying late into the night might help you learn more, but sleeping less negates the positive effects.
Network.
A system of connected pieces, especially for transportation or communication. The typhoon destroyed the network of roads, which has made it hard to bring supplies and first aid to the town.
Nevertheless.
However, regardless. The decision was dangerous. Nevertheless, Hitler attacked Russia.
Notion.
A belief, an idea. I think the professor's notion of fun was different from the student's notion of fun.
Objective.
A goal based in fact, not an opinion, not from personal beliefs or ideas. The objective of the TOEFL is to measure your total English ability. We can objectively measure how spicy a pepper is, but how we feel about that spiciness is not objective.
Obtain.
To get or secure something. After lots of looking, Jorge obtained a job in apartment in New York City.
Obvious.
Easily understood or seen. The results of the election were so clear that the loser admitted defeat before voting was finished.
Occupy.
To be in or on a space, to fill a space. The dentist's office occupied the entire fourth floor of the building.
Occur.
To happen. The sinking of the Titanic occurred on April 14, 1912.
Orient.
Usually to be oriented, to move into a position in line with some specific point, usually to orient yourself, to explore and become comfortable with. The statues appear to be oriented toward the sunrise. It took a few weeks to orient myself in the new job, but I feel comfortable now.
Overall.
Looking at or including all pieces or factors in general, for the most part. Some words might be new and difficult, but the overall meaning of the sentence is clear. Overall, Americans eat a lot of beef, especially compared to people in other countries.
Participate.
To join or take part in, a conversation, a game, etc. The teacher was surprised when every student participated in the math game.
Perceive.
To be aware of, to sense or feel. If hunters are skilled, the animals will not perceive their presence.
Period.
Arrange or amount of time. Computer technology changed a lot in the period between the 1980s and the year 2000.
Perspective.
How you see something from a specific place, a point of view or opinion. Young children's drawings do not have clearly defined perspective. You may see 3 walls of an outside of a building, for example. Many Hollywood movies, when watched from a woman's perspective, have clearly sexist characters.
Phase.
A period of time in a longer process of change. There are at least 3 different phases in a frog's development from egg to adult.
Philosophy.
The study of knowledge or a set of theories, knowledge and thought, a basic idea of a person or organization that affects their actions. Philosophy has always tried to answer the question, what is the meaning of life? My philosophy is that if you can do something today, you shouldn't wait until tomorrow.
Physical.
Of the body, not mental, concrete, not abstract. Cleaning up the campus garden was tiring, physical work. Katerina doesn't like paying for music without a physical copy, such as a CD.
Policy.
A rule made by an organization, government, or company. School policy does not allow alcohol on campus.
Potential.
Possible ability that might be used in the future, having the ability to do something in the future. Wind and solar energy have the potential to replace oil. China is potentially the next world leader.
Precise.
Exact, carefully defined. Because the pirates weren't certain of the precise location of the gold, they dug holes all over the island.
Predict.
To say something will happen in the future. Charlie Chaplin predicted that movies would never become popular. He was wrong, clearly.
Previous.
Happening before the one happening now, of a thing, event, or date. Sujin thought her science class was really hard after studying only literature in the previous year.
Primary.
First in importance. The primary cause of unhappiness is not about money, it is bad health.
Principle.
A rule or idea that makes the base for a system, often moral. The principles at the heart of the new religion are the same as many central beliefs of Christianity.
Prior.
Happening or being before. The new CEO of Yahoo called the prior CEO of the company to get a better understanding of the company.
Proceed.
To begin or continue with some action. We will not proceed with the construction until someone tells us it is safe to build here.
Project.
A plan or task to reach a specific goal, to predict the measurement of something in the future from present measurements, to send out, to throw, of light, energy, etc. Cleaning out the storage room was a big project, but it's nice to see it empty, now. Based on this year's success, Apple is projecting similar growth next year, too. Hoping to communicate with aliens, scientists have been projecting radio messages into space for many years.
Proportion.
The size or amount of something compared to the whole or other parts. Cartoons of people often have exaggerated proportions, such as very large eyes or hands.
Pursue.
To follow, to chase, to try to achieve, a dream or goal. The baby elephant ran, but the pack of lions pursued it. Man pursued the dream of flight for hundreds of years before the modern airplane was invented.
Range.
The distance between two things, like area, time, or intelligence, to be between a set minimum and maximum. The range of scores on the test was big. In the company, the age of people ranges from 25 to 75.
React.
To respond, act in answer to. Mothers react quickly to their babies' cries, even in the middle of the night.
Region.
An area of land. Although most of the Japanese exchange students come from Osaka, in the south, Akiko comes from the northern region of Japan.
Register.
To put your name or other information in a list for something to identify and show on a tool for measuring. If you'd like to buy a meal plan, you can register at the Student Affairs office. The bomb was so strong that faraway weather balloons registered the heat.
Regulate.
To have control over a process so that it functions properly. Parents regulate the amount of time kids spend playing games on their phones.
Reject.
To say no to something offered, to refuse or decline. After applying to 10 schools, Lucas was rejected by 9 of them.
Relevant.
Closely connected to the topic and therefore important. I think Professor McGarry can give you some relevant books to help you write that essay.
Rely.
To depend on, to need in order to continue well. In many countries, children rely on their parents for food, money, and housing until they are over 20 years old.
Remove.
To take away or take out. The grocery store removed all of the milk after the government said it was unsafe to drink.
Require.
To need for a specific purpose, to set as the minimum. All life, plants and animals included, requires water.
Research.
To find or search for more information about something, information collected about something, usually academic. After growing up on an island, Maliga hoped to research ocean temperatures in graduate school. Dr. Stanislaus was famous for his research on changes in health education over the past 100 years.
Reside.
To live in a place. I reside in California.
Resolve.
To agree, to decide, to solve a problem or argument. Even after meeting for hours, the government leaders still could not resolve their argument over new taxes.
Resource.
Some saved material that can be used for a purpose, especially money, anything used to make energy such as oil, or information sources such as books. Many of the richest countries have surprisingly few natural resources and must buy oil or gas from other countries. Never forget to make use of the library during your studies, it's full of great resources.
Respond.
Answer, react. Waiters who respond to customers' questions with a smile generally get more money. If you scare a turtle, it will respond by hiding in its shell.
Restrict.
to limit, to make some actions impossible. Access to this parking area is restricted, only university students may use it.
Retain.
To keep, continue to have or contain. Originally from France, Jean retains a hint of her French accent even today.
Role.
A job or function, a position. Student class president is an important role.
Scheme.
A large plan, the system by which something is arranged. Microsoft's marketing scheme for their new tablet computer was less than successful. The modern scheme for naming different types of plants and animals started around 1800.
Section.
One of a number of pieces which come together to create a whole. Every ant's body has 3 sections, a head, a thorax, where the legs are, and an abdomen, the back.
Secure.
To attach something so that it won't come off. Please tightly secure the surfboards on top of the car.
Seek.
To look for, to try to find. Across many different culture stories, heroes seek more than just gold or fame.
Select.
To choose, chosen as the best from a group. There are 4 different math courses you may select from in your first year. Harvard students are a select group of very intelligent, successful students who are often from rich families.
Shift.
To move something a short distance, a small change in position or direction. Please help me shift the table so it is easier for people to sit down. The recent shift that the coach made is helping the team win more games.
Significant.
Important or big enough that you should notice or pay attention. Most animals spend a significant amount of their time looking for food.
Site.
The location of something. The people of the city voted for a site downtown as the location of the new sports stadium.
Source.
Where something comes from. Do not trust books that give information without listed sources. The facts could be false.
Specify.
To say which one or clearly point to which one. The king told the hero that he could marry one of the princesses but did not specify which daughter.
Stable.
Not likely to change, fall, or move, secure, as in employment, finances, housing, etc. Make sure the ladder is stable before you climb up it.
Status.
The rank or social class of someone or something, the current situation that something is in. The status of women has slowly improved over the past 100 years, and it continues to improve. What's the status of the new library? Are they finished building it yet?
Strategy.
A plan of action to reach a desired goal. The debate team spent the evening discussing their strategy for defeating the other team.
Stress.
To place extra importance on one part, extra importance placed on one part, pressure, strain, tension, worry. If you stress the wrong words or sounds when speaking English, you may not be understood. Final exams are soon, and so stress levels are high among students.
Subsequent.
Immediately after. Both the winter and the subsequent spring were surprisingly dry, with neither snow nor rain.
Substitute.
To take out and put something else in the same place, usually something worse, something that goes in the place of the normal thing. Because we didn't have any, we substituted the sugar with juice. Many cigarette smokers who try to quit use chewing gum as a substitute.
Sufficient.
Enough in amount for what you need. Because of weather changes, last year farms couldn't grow sufficient rice to feed the country.
Sustain.
To help something continue, to keep going. No animals or plants can sustain life without water.
Theory.
An idea or belief about how/why something works. There are many theories about why we dream.
Tradition.
A set of beliefs or culture that is passed from family to family over a long period of time. Chris's favorite tradition is eating ham on Christmas.
Transfer.
To pass from one person or thing to another. Sally transferred all of her money from American National Bank when she heard they were closing.
Trend.
The direction or way in which something is changing. Today's computer culture is trending toward more touchscreen technology.
Underlying.
Forming the basis for something. There is no single way to put an end to drug addiction since there are many underlying causes.
Valid.
From a reasonable or correct basis. Many people have said the artist Jackson Pollock's work didn't require much skill, and that idea is somewhat valid.
Vary.
To be a different size, amount, or character when compared to something else in a similar group. The restaurants in this area vary greatly in quantity and price.
Welfare.
How healthy and happy a person or group is. A perfect government would care more about the welfare of its people than anything else.
Whereas.
Although, used to contrast two different things. Lemons are very sour whereas most fruits are sweet.
If you have liked this video, please click like button, and if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe.